Yes, let's actually talk about the big thing that did come out yesterday. Not Infinite Warfare. Nobody talks about Infinite Warfare anymore. We discuss Infinite Warfare. We're moving on now. We're talking, of course, about the release of the, I'm not joking here, people, 14th Marvel Cinematic Universe installment with Scott Fredrickson's Doctor Strange, starring Benedict Cumberbatch.
So, what did you think of it? I'm gonna let you go first because I think you know more, a little bit more. Do you wait? Do you know a lot about Doctor Strange?
I actually read some of the original Steve Ditko Doctor Strange.
Okay,
I actually,
I have not. I was never really interested in Doctor Strange, so I never read the comics. I was never really indulged by the character. So
yeah,
I'm gonna let you go first because this is a new Doctor Strange for me.
yeah, let me kind of bring up a thing. Like, I I actually remember this. I was actually in high school, I think sophomore year, and a friend of mine who was really into comics, basically handed me this Doctor Strange compendium, which is like this huge, like you could kill a man with this book. It was thick. And it was a compilation of the 60s and 70s run of Steve Ditko's run on Doctor Strange, a very influential time where basically the visualness of Doctor Strange came from these comics. And I read these comics. It was based during a study hall period. I was caught up in my homework. I didn't have much else to do. And, what else am I going to do? So I read these very trippy and very cool stories about Doctor Strange, the resident sorcerer of the Marvel Universe, of him going to different dimensions and parallel planes and dealing with cosmic horrors and insanely dangerous creatures like the embodiment of nightmares or the embodiment of despair or unimagined cosmic horrors that's trying to seep their way into human imagination. And he's doing all these crazy hand gestures with magic and calling upon entities for power. And it was just this really fun read, seeing these really bizarre visuals, because you can really look them up online. Just go Doctor Strange, Steve Ditko, and you probably find a bunch of really weird imagery of him facing off against Baron Mordo, the Dread Dormammu, and all these really cool characters. Because I'm not gonna lie, this is something that I still it's a tick I have personally. Like when it comes to like fantasy or when it comes to RPGs, I love wizards. I love magic characters. I love the ability to bring forth things that can't logically happen, and Doctor Strange just really fed that need for me. So when it came to, well, yeah, the original Steve Ditko stuff, but I also got a huge primer from the Marvel Ultimate Alliance games. That's how actually I got a better chunk of the more recent stuff Doctor Strange has done. Which, by the way, if you really want a primer on the Marvel Universe for better or for worse, I do recommend the Ultimate Alliance games. Once Activision actually gets around to patching them on the current gen platforms. But moving on, so when it came to hearing that they were doing a Doctor Strange movie, and I saw the initial trailers, I was actually worried because all I saw was, oh, they're ripping off Inception. Talk about the initial trailers with the bending of the buildings and the moving of the gravity and everything else, and I'm like, they're just gonna rip off Inception. It's gonna be this really boring but still visually interesting movie. Like they were going to dilute it. They were going to not go as strange as I think Doctor Strange should go. But oh dear me, was I wrong, folks. Now we're getting to where we actually saw the movie. I went out with an early late night screening. Like it was like Thursday night, but it was like a 10:30ish showing, not full blown midnight showing. But I went with a friend of mine who's also a big fan of Doctor Strange, and it's another Marvel movie origin story, but they do it so well. They have the beats so well established. Doctor Strange feels like a great character in his own right, and the visuals. Oh dear me! Whatever you do, do not go to this movie high. I think it might actually cause a heart attack because it gets surreal. It gets weird. It gets crazy, and I loved every second of it. Michael.
Well, I can't say I can't say that I'm as in love with it as you are because like you said you read the comic, so like, your expectations were iffy and this surprised you. For me, I went in blind because again I knew nothing about Doctor Strange, but it's a Marvel movie. It's part of the overall Infinity War arc, and so I was like, I'm gonna watch this because the trailers look great. Cumberbatch looks like he makes a cool character. He looks the part. Oh my goodness, he looked the part.
Spot on. Funny story. bit of a thing. Funny story though, when it came to the look for Doctor Strange originally, their point of reference was Vincent Price, believe it or not.
And they got Cumberbatch instead.
Vincent Price was their baseline, but then I saw Cumberbatch in like the classic like goatee mustache look with the hair, and I'm like, oh my god, it's even better than I could have expected.
Yeah, like I've seen Doctor Strange. I know his look, his style, and all that. Because I also played the Ultimate games. The first one was great. The second one, not so much. But
yeah,
when I saw also Planet Hulk, I was into Planet Hulk, and Doctor Strange had a small part in that.
Oh, he was part of the Marvel Illuminati that sends Banner into space to help.
Yeah, to try and save him alongside.
Backfired horribly.
Oh my goodness, did it? Like to the point where he nearly destroyed everybody. But and that was my biggest. I want to say trip, but that's not the word. That's my biggest deal with Doctor Strange. That's all I know about him. So going to this movie,
he as far as you knew, he was the wizard of the Marvel universe. He did magic stuff.
Yeah, he was the wizard. I knew about the whole hands gesture and why he needed his hands. Like that much I understood, and that's one thing that made this movie interesting for me. Was like I want to see how they play this out. I want to see how they're going to use somebody who can bend time at will, who can bend space, who can just mess with people's minds.
Go to these weird places with the power of his mind.
Oh yeah, I want to see how Marvel's going to pull this off. And oh my goodness, the way they pull this off when people are like, oh, it's stuff you've never seen before. It's like, no, I don't believe that. Like, it's a movie. We've pretty much done it all. No, there are sections where I was like, oh my goodness. I never the creativity and the originality that this movie has with the CG and the set pieces. I was like, yes, this is so much better than I thought it was going to be. Like, Marvel knows what it's doing, sure. But this just proves that, no, we still have some creativity. We don't have just Thor. We could take any of our characters, throw them into the Marvel Universe, and have a ball with it and give you something new. Oh, you got sick of Captain America and Thor? Here's Guardians of the Galaxy. Fun movie. There you go. Oh, what's that? You're waiting for Guardians 2? You like Civil War? Here's Doctor Strange to keep you waiting because you want to see more of this character. You want to see him interact with everybody. And
this is the thing. Like, this is the thing where I think you and I are gonna have to partially disagree with, because you said to yourself, Marvel kind of has a formula now when it comes to these characters, and you kept saying they feel interchangeable. I would say Doctor Strange is my argument against that, because they understand the fundamentals of what makes their character stand out, and they embody that stuff where it stands out. Like Iron Man, yeah, it's a Marvel superhero movie, but it's also kind of a techno thriller with power suits and the sort of arms race that goes on with the characters. Captain America is kind of a war. The first one was kind of a war movie, where it was set in World War II, and it was him wanting to serve his country. The later ones kind of go for a sort of spy thriller feel, where it feels almost like Tom Clancy-ish.
No, yeah, I get what you're saying. Like that's what I meant, like about earlier comment about how Marvel can throw all these characters in there and give them something fresh. My thing is, like, I meant like character wise. Stephen Strange.
Stephen Strange.
Oh yeah, every time I see his name, I just want to say Stephen because I knew a guy who spelled his name that way. His name was Stephen. But Doctor Strange has this Tony Stark going on, where he has this big ego and he knows he's the best of the best, if not better than that, and it gets the better of him, and irony strikes.
Oh yeah,
it just felt like Tony Stark, but I know it doesn't sound as bad. More likable.
I wouldn't be quick to compare him to Tony Stark. Like, Tony has a sort of ego-centric playboy vibe to him. Like he revels in it. He revels in being this untouchable playboy that plays around.
And that's what I mean. Like he said, he's a more likable Tony Stark because, unlike Tony, Strange actually cares about people.
Yeah, this is the big thing though. Strange, this is actually a core of his character. This has always been part of his character with his origin story. It's actually one of my favorite origin stories for a character, for a comic book character, because he was that stereotypical egocentric doctor. He was drunk on that power, of that knowledge he had throughout all these years of learning how to put people back together, and that power of knowing that his actions will make people live. And that's why he prided himself on those hands, those delicate tools he could do all these things with. And as you said, irony strikes. Horrible car crash, his hands get busted up, and he couldn't do anything. we'll go back into more into spoilers territory. Like we'll have like a spoilers discussion kind of thing separately. But they do sell up that he comes from a good place. Like he wants to help people, but he is so defensive about anybody else even trying. He thinks to himself, "No, only I can help them. Only I can do better." That ego was actually kind of off-putting at first until he goes through his trademark Marvel hero's journey to humility and learning magic, learning from the Ancient One, and learning to expand his mind to a new world.
Right. See, I actually kind of liked his ego because he had fun with it. Like when you
Oh my
like in the
gosh!
operation room where he is having fun with his knowledge with his team. I really like that because he didn't make it seem like I'm better than everybody, so everybody revel around me. It was
It's
more
like,
like I know a lot of
hey
things,
guys,
and
hey guys, check this out.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like he had fun with it. He didn't put people down per se. There was one character that he put down, but it was only because this guy he nearly killed a patient that was still alive. But
I'm actually kind of laughing because when I started watching the opening, my brain went, "Oh my gosh! I thought I was watching Doctor Strange, not Sherlock crosses over with House." Like
yeah,
it felt. I'm not gonna lie, it felt like I was a little too used to Benedict Cumberbatch kind of playing that sort of socially inept, brilliant person,
and
but he.
I like that because it showed that they took time to actually build this character in his own movie rather than
Oh
slap a
yeah.
bunch of stuff together.
Oh
They
yeah.
took
Like
time before all the magic, before his hands even get crushed. They take time to give this guy not even a real
he's a good
backstory, just like
he's a good
yeah,
person.
like the here and now is Strange. That's who we get. We don't have to worry about his upbringing. We don't have to worry about him going to medical school. Nope, we get brilliant, already know what he's doing, Strange. And I like the point that they did that for an origin story. It's like, yeah, you don't know who this guy is, but here's the here.
We're gonna bring up to speed.
Yeah, here's
Like
the
this
here
thing
and
I
now.
will. Yeah, this thing I do find that's good though about this origin story. Like this is probably one of the most backhand continuous criticisms I've heard about Doctor Strange. It is yet another, and I quote here, yet another Marvel origin movie, and I can kind of see what they're getting at though, because as yourself, we're being introduced to basically a whole new facet of the MCU, like. Like I mentioned before, like Captain America introduced a sort of spy thriller element with Hydra, an underground organization. Thor introduced this big sprawling cosmic element sort of thing with the different realms and different creatures that are out there. Guardians of the Galaxy brought this sort of space opera field with going to different planets and the Celestials and the origin story of the Infinity Stones. And now with the Doctor Strange, we're saying like, oh yeah, guess what? There are other planes of reality, and we have this sort of Eastern Taoist Orientalists, almost Zen philosophy of energy channeling the like congratulations, we have a much bigger universe than you even know that's going through it. Like they even called it the multiverse in the movie. They basically name drop multiverse, which for the record, if that means we're actually possibly going to get ourselves a one-off Marvel Zombies movie sometime down the line, I'm game.
Yeah, probably for like a Halloween special. But
Oh yeah.
and I'm glad they did that because it goes to show after Phase 4, maybe they can reboot it and start out with like the new Avengers, or do a different, or like, oh, how are you gonna do a new Iron Man without Robert Downey Jr. Multiverse.
Oh yeah, like
We got so we could get somebody else to do it, and I'm glad they did that because it opens up a possibility that after Phase, is this Phase 3 or Phase 4?
this is phase
Okay,
3. This is still
yeah,
phase
after
3.
Phase 3, and then go into hypothetically a Phase 4. Maybe they can do something with that. Like we've had.
They can open themselves up to what ifs. They can open themselves up to what ifs and the like, because they kind of already said they want to scale things down after Infinity War is
And I'm
done.
glad
Because
because the last couple
if
of movies that they've done, it felt like the
like
stakes were
Age of
too
Ultron,
high.
yeah, Age of Ultron was very well received at the time, but honestly, I don't know, it didn't hit nearly as hard as it could have. But here's the thing: if Infinity War does well, and it's exactly what we expect out of it, there is absolutely no way it can be topped in terms of stakes. Like if you actually look at the Infinity War storyline, there is absolutely no way they can top off stopping a Mad Titan from wanting to kill off half of all life in the entire universe.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested to see what Marvel can pull off after Infinity War Part Two, which is not even called Infinity Wars Part Two anymore.
Part 2
Yeah,
anymore. Yep.
they're gonna change that. So I'm interested to see what they pull off with that.
But yeah, back to Doctor Strange. Were there any like problems you had with the movie? Any sort of criticisms? Any sort of things that you didn't think kind of sat well with you? You know, not spoiler territory. Like we'll kind of get into spoilers after this, but I just kind of want your take on things you thought they could have done better.
My biggest issue, I guess, well, I guess it would be the main villain. I'm glad. Yeah,
Caecilius, played by Mads
yeah.
Mikkelsen.
I'm glad they actually get this. One of my problems with Marvel, just like everybody else, is their one note villains. This,
Oh yeah,
this.
yeah. Their villains aren't exactly the
Oh
best.
no,
Like,
not even
like,
close. Except Loki.
like yeah, Loki's a standout. Thanos is kind of meant to be an embodied force of nature, and they've been building up to him. So I'm kind of wanting to include him as well. But yeah, they have a lot of disposable villains. Is the problem? Like,
No, I actually kind of like the Mandarin. The twist they did with that. I
oh,
thought that was
Trevor
kind of
Slattery,
fun.
like, oh yeah, we're probably gonna get killed by a bunch of hardcore Iron Man fans, but I actually did like the Trevor Slattery twist as well.
Yeah. I was like, man, how they gonna turn this racist character into something fun? I was like, oh no, I like this a lot. It feels marvelous. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I just said that. It feels like it feels like something Marvel would do, and I liked it. It fit the
Yeah,
tone.
change things around with what they have established. Like I said, for like a Oriental, like David Lopan stereotype showing up in the techno thriller Iron Man movies would be kind of a little too much total whiplash, if you ask
Yeah.
me. But yeah, that's kind of the big problem I do kind of have with Doctor Strange. The
Well,
initial villain that kind of starts off things, Caecilius, like once again, like trying to get into too much spoiler territory, but yeah, as a villain and a bad guy with motivations and interests going on with him.
he had motivation. Like I actually kind of agreed with his ways. I was like, all right, you actually have a reason why you're doing the things that you're doing.
He lost everything. They have like one throwaway line where he lost everything.
Yeah.
You know, kind of had a to kind of set sort of a token parallel with him and Doctor Strange, and he kind of says, "No, screw it. I'm just gonna destroy the world
Well,
because
he was trying. He was
reasons."
technically trying to save it, but the way he was trying to save it was iffy at best. So it's not like you could. It's not like you can. It's not like you can go with the government and have them save the world. They failed at that part multiple times. So why not try to take it in your own hands since you had the powers to do it? But it's just, oh man, they didn't give him time. Like we get to know Strange, we get to know the Ancient
I,
Ones, we even get to know the
More,
Librarian Protector.
yeah, Wong and Mordo. We got to know those guys pretty
Yeah,
well.
like we get all these people, but the main villain pops up, leave. It's like, oh,
I
okay,
mean,
we're doing this again.
hear me out though. Mads Mikkelsen at least had some fun with some of his lines. Like I want to say he almost reminded me a bit of darn it, what's the one I'm looking for? The Kree bad guy in Guardians of the Galaxy. I try to remember.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Darn it. I think some people like to call him Emo Smurf because of the blue skin and the black tears coming down. But yeah, like, I feel like he was trying to fill that sort of role. Like the Guardians villain worked best in my mind because he was trying to be this holier than thou, almighty force or whatever, and the Guardians of the Galaxy were the foil to a straight man. Like
Yeah.
what are you doing? Dance off, bro, you and me. Like that was fun. But Caecilius and Doctor Strange kind of has sort of a deadpan reaction to him, like. It was given away in the trailer, but I still crack up at it. It's like, but this is not concern you, Mister Doctor, Mister Doctor.
Yeah, that
it's
was
strange. It's strange.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. But who am I to judge? I'm like,
Yeah, like I wanted more time like that with the character. I want to see him interact more with Strange. They didn't really get the chance to interact a whole lot. To have this whole butting heads, two different ideologies kind of things going on.
I mean, like I said before, the whole idea that only kind of go back to the ego thing that there's only one true savior to everything, and I know better, you know better thing. Like there's a lot more they could have done there, but they didn't go with it. But okay, so your problem was the villain. I say because of what they do in the third act, they kind of save it a bit.
A little bit, like because we already knew he was a
My
force to be reckoned with. But I would like to see him interact more with Strange and like try to tip Strange towards his way of thinking. But it only happened like
come to the dark
yeah,
side, kind
yeah,
of thing.
and like that only happened for like one small little scene, and it was just brushed off later. I was like, man, that went nowhere. But okay, that's
Well,
cool.
I will say this is actually a problem I do actually have in the movie. Like, this is something that does kind of bother me because once again, I've read the comics. Like, whenever I think of Doctor Strange, I think of the hand motions, the by the hoary hosts of Hoggoth, you shall not breach my arcane barrier. You know, some overly elaborate thing or whatever he would do. And to their credit, they do try to have interesting action scenes that go down with that. But the problem is, whenever they go to hand-to-hand combat, they have these scenes where Cassilius like conjures these weapons out of nowhere. They kind of remind me of like the bound weapons from Skyrim. Remastered came out, so I'm kind of back on a binge.
Oh,
But
jeez.
him just pulling weapons out of the ether, them using those sling rings to like lash energy out and attack like whips. That was cool. Like that reminded me a bit of the more crazy stuff that happens in the comics. But then the way some of the scenes are shot, they do that really annoying Hollywood thing where they zoom in and they have a bit of a shaky cam thing going on, but it's so close up you can't really see what's going on. And they're moving and you can't see what's going on, and
See,
it completely.
they did both of that. Like sometimes they would pull out, you could see what was going on, but for some reason they
That's
would pull back in.
it's like I can't tell what's going on with the particles and the moving around. Like it bothered me. Like I couldn't tell what the heck was going on half the time. All I knew was, but here's the thing: that they have those brief moments that pull me out of it. But then they had those really well done sequences where they pulled out and let the environment speak. Like this is the thing I will say though, the visuals are great. The action set pieces are amazing. They do a lot. They have a lot of fun with environmental manipulation, the turning of perception, the turning of gravity. There's this really crazy sequence where like time travel kind of sort of happens, but it's in reverse. But they're still acting in real time, and it's just this amazingly beautiful, well choreographed sequence. I'm like, that's great. And then they zoom back in, and I can't make sense of it. Stop it! Stop it! Bring it back out again.
Right. Yeah, yeah, and I think that might be the biggest problem with the movie. It's like there's so much going on, and you want to see it all, but every now and again the camera would just pull in so close and tight. You're just like, oh, well, so much for your awesome set piece that I can't see anymore. Because like the set pieces are part of the action, and they use it,
The set piece is part of the action, and it's also part of selling this magic world and this magic stuff they
and it's
deal
done,
with.
and it's
And when
done so well. Like when you hide it, I got kind of mad. I was like, no, I want to see more of that. I want to see them because they would use the environments in genius ways. Somebody tries to escape, they would use parts of a wall to block off their escape or to slow them down. There were
yeah,
times where even Strange himself would use, without spoiling a whole lot, he would use certain elements to entrap enemies. And I was like, oh man, it's not just fisticuffs. It's like they use
oh
mind. It's mind over matter, and they use mind to control that matter.
oh
And
th- that
it's great. And I'm like, man, I want to see more of this, but I don't want you to zoom so close to their face where I see their little hand waves. Yeah, I
yeah
get it. I get it using their hands. Zoom back out so I can see what they're moving their hands to control.
it feels way too much like it's a comic movie. We have to have action scenes. We have to have these close up choreographed kung fu action scenes because there is some sort of much more sort of Taoist martial arts Zen Buddhist philosophy kind of going on with Strange's training. So there's some sort of martial arts to it, and I'm okay with that. But the thing is, when I go to see Doctor Strange, I want to see Doctor Strange. I don't want to go to see Doctor Strange just to watch the B reel of Iron Fist, you know?
Oh man, I actually enjoyed it. Like I understood why. I think they put enough time and focus on his training and all that. And I agree. I kind of wish they cut down on the
No, no, no,
fights
no, no.
and expanded on the character developments.
Well,
Like his
no,
estranged girlfriend or ex or whatever. Give her a
no,
little
no,
more
hear me,
screen time.
hear me out on this though. If they took out those rapid fire scenes of the close up shots of the fights, if they just took them out and replaced them with nothing, I really don't think anything would have been missed. If it felt almost like padding, it felt like fluff,
You
personally.
know, I don't see that. I see that they use their creativity as a way to make action scenes fun again. Because that's just everybody's problem with superhero movies. Like it's getting kind of samey. We've seen superhero punch
It,
other
it's
superheroes, other supervillains in
it's
the
guys
face.
it's guys in costumes punching each other. They
Yeah,
can take a
yeah,
punch
and I think this is a
like
great way from the show. Like it can still be kind of fun, and they use that creativity in great ways. Like it's not always
if
fisticuffs. They have used a few scenes where they used it to again entrap enemies, to slow them down, stop them from moving. They use them in great ways, but they do
But
use
when
them
they
with
go
too much
when they go to
function.
that, trust me though, Michael, this is a nitpick. This is a tiny
Oh no no
nitpick
no!
I
Yeah,
have
I
about the
understand
movie,
because like
but
so far you've just been praising this thing and like yeah, nothing's flawless, but like I see where you're coming
absolutely.
from, but I also see why they did it the way they did it because like they kind of want to do something creative with the fight scenes.
And I'm okay with that. It's just that I really wish they could have cut down a bit more on the more go-to Hollywood illusion of visceral. Like I kind of want to punch Paul Greengrass in the
To
face
be
for the shit he was doing in the Jason Bourne movies because of this stuff.
to be
But
honest, I kind of I'm in the same boat as you. I wish they cut down on the fight, and I love action movies, but I wish they cut down on that to like maybe the last 15 minutes. That'd have been okay.
yeah, like dude, like this is something I really will say though. The finale is beautiful.
Oh,
The
it's
final
fun.
act. Oh my gosh, yes! Like they do so much good. Like seriously, if you guys are undecided for some ridiculous reason, please let's be very clear here. This is a good movie. In fact, you know what? I know, I'm kind of putting you on the spot, Michael. But let's say if we were somehow film critics and we were given a out of 10 range, how would you rate this? How would you grade Doctor Strange?
I'd give it an 8 just for the visuals alone.
Funny,
What's that?
I was thinking 8 as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't say 9 because again, it's a more they got this formula going on, so I expect it to be good. It's nothing that caught me by surprise. But an 8 because oh my god, the creativity alone, just the creativity, the engineering that they had going on, the characters they had were fun, and it wasn't just Doctor Strange. Like they've actually had multiple characters, even side characters I liked.
Of
They had
course.
multiple characters that had actual personality that has something to actually do with Strange and his world and him building up to becoming this grand wizard. Uh,
The Sorcerer
yeah, so it's
Supreme and to
Supreme.
protect the world. Yep.
And even after all the fights, when they actually slowed things down at a certain scene and gave Strange a reason to stand up and actually fight back, I was like, oh man, this is great. We just got this great action scene. They're
And then they top
yeah,
themselves.
and they're not afraid to stop, slow down, have one last bit of character development, and then go into the finale.
Oh,
And I was
definitely.
like, oh,
But
and that's what I enjoyed about the movie was it wasn't just action, 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 action. Now we're stopping. It's like, okay, a little bit of action. Here's some character development. Teensy bit of action, a whole lot of character development, and then big action scene. One last little bit of character development, big action finale. And I like that. And I know a lot of people say that they didn't like the pacing, but honestly, I think that's good pacing right there.
this is something that feels weird though. Like the movie is like 2.5 hours long, but it felt a lot longer than that, and I didn't
That it
mind.
felt longer.
Like
I thought it felt, I know it was a 2 hour movie, but it didn't really feel that way. It
it felt a bit longer than I expected, but I didn't mind it. They took the time when they needed to, and they accelerated things when they needed to, which. You know what? I really don't think we really can't discuss any more about this movie without kind of going into spoiler territory. I think maybe we'll go a bit more in depth with it because frankly, there's a lot to dissect for good and for ill in Doctor Strange. So, if you guys have not seen the movie, let's just cards on the table. It's great. It's probably one of Marvel's best movies they've come up recently. Like, I don't want to say better than Civil War, but it's up there. So, please go out and check it out.
yeah.